action for another day of the week. Welcome to the Wednesday edition of Chasing That Paper, presented by VegasInsider.com. Oh, baby. So some nights you have a bad night betting and you can just brush it off. Maybe laugh about it, try to learn from it a little bit. You should always try to learn from your losses. But sometimes you have a bad night of betting and it just totally, completely cripples you, disrupts your sleep, throws you off, gets you stressed out. That was me yesterday. So somehow, some way, the second consecutive Tuesday where I've managed to go 1-6. Now, last Tuesday, I go 1-6. Just a lot of shitty picks, to be honest. But yesterday, it was very troubling, guys. You know, I don't want to be the guy that complains about bad beats all the time, but should have been a profitable day here yesterday. If you tailed any of my NBA picks, you know exactly what I'm talking about. The Pistons, who we have plus 12.5, they're leading that game with 7 minutes remaining. And here I am thinking, okay, as long as they don't get outscored by 14 points with 7 minutes left, we're good to go. What happens? They get outscored by 14 with 7 minutes left to go. The Heat win by 13. So if you got a better number than me, congratulations to you. Then one that even stings even more, because this bled into this morning. I had Steph Curry, took a big swing, 35 or more points, plus 225. I go to bed at halftime last night. He's got 24 points. And I could say, okay, this is looking all right. It's pretty realistic that he can come out and score 11 points in the second half. It's still going to be a losing night from a betting perspective, but if you hit a plus 225 bet, you know, it won't be as bad as it could be. I wake up, take a look at the phone. This was within 30 seconds of waking, and I look at the box score. Steph Curry, 34 points. 1 point shy. Do a little bit more research. He scored his 34th point with about 6 minutes remaining in the game. And not only did he not score another point, he didn't even take another shot. He was on the court for a good 5 more minutes. So very frustrating stuff. Some nights the bad beats can roll off you. Last night was not one of them for me. So we will look to recover today. We do live to bet another day. That day is today. We got a lot to cover. We're all over the map. Major League Baseball, NHL, NBA, UFC pay-per-view going down. This weekend, we're going to cover it all. It's not all bad news, guys, because history is being made today on Chasing That Paper. Let me tell you why. For the first time in the history of the show, Iain MacMillan is joining me on a Wednesday. So let's bring him in. Iain, how does it feel to be making history today on Chasing That Paper?
Yeah, it feels good. I didn't get any sleep last night, though, so a little tired on this Wednesday. We're going to try to bring some Wednesday energy, and yeah, let's get into it.
Yeah, baby. Why didn't you get any sleep? What's going on in your world? The girlfriend kick you out to the futon again?
No, actually, no. She's away on work, so I actually had the bed to myself. I should have slept like a baby, but I didn't. Maybe I just missed it.
And Iain is troubled as well, so hopefully we can put our troubles behind us and patch together a winning day here. All right, let's get right into the action. A late night in Major League Baseball, a bunch of games during the afternoon here, but I'm going to target the night game. We got the Blue Jays in Kansas City taking on the Royals. I'm going to go right back to the well on a bet I placed on opening day. Zach Greinke under 2.5 earned runs coming in at even money. This guy is an absolute beast at home. Check him out. In Kansas City, since joining the Royals last season, 2 or fewer earned runs in 12 of 13 starts at Kauffman Stadium. Wildly efficient here, too. Just 1 home run and 11 walks allowed in those 13 games. And he often has a very conservative pitch count. Just 80 pitches in his debut last week, which is typical for him. As more often than not, he stays under 90 pitches, which will absolutely help our case if he's not around long into this game. Give me Greinke under 2.5 earned runs. Head over to Iain. He likes something on the diamond here as well. Iain, your baseball pick. What are we looking at?
Yeah, keeping up with the trend here, going to go with a pitcher prop. This one's for an afternoon game, so hopefully you're watching this before 2 p.m. Eastern, because this game opening pitches at 2:10. It's between the White Sox and the San Francisco Giants. I'm looking at Dylan Cease over 7.5 strikeouts here. We got some pretty limited data because we're still, less than a week into the season. I think this is the 7th day of the season. But still some interesting points here that you got to note. Number one, Giants' strikeout rate this year has been absolutely terrible through the first week of the season. Second last in Major League Baseball in strikeout percentage, striking out on 31.6% of their plate appearances. And Dylan Cease, I took the under in his strikeout total in his first game. That was a mistake, as he had 10 strikeouts, and I believe that was against the Astros, if I'm correct. And the Astros were one of the best teams last year in not striking out. So pretty hot start here for Dylan Cease in the strikeout department. And also, I needed a third point for my pick, so I might be kind of digging kind of deep here. But he did have higher strikeout numbers last year at home, so maybe that helps us out a little bit. I mean, I don't really like looking back at last year's stats, but it's early in the season. I have limited data to go off here. Give me Dylan Cease over 7.5 strikeouts.
Giants, yes, C's. That'll be a popular bet today. The over on that 7.5. Okay, over to the NBA. Bit of a tricky night in the NBA. It seems like basically every team, almost all of them, in the second game of a back-to-back. So limited action for me on the court. But one bet I like very much, the Sacramento Kings coming in at plus 6.5 over at BetMGM. Use that bonus code VIBONUS. So Kings plus 6.5 versus the Mavs, and you want to trust the Dallas Mavericks now? The will to win simply isn't enough to trust them to win by 7 points against a rock-solid team like Sacramento. Dallas has been awful in the spot all season long, covering at just 33.3% as a home favorite of more than 3. They're on a slide that's seen them go 1-7-1 ATS in their last 9 in that spot, and 7-17-2 ATS on the season. Check out these Kings on the road. Kings of the road. 10-1. Straight up. Not against the spread. Straight up in their last 11 games on the road. Outright wins as a dog in 4 of these games. 6-1 straight up in their last 7 games as a road underdog. Playing up to the competition. Expect the effort to absolutely be there tonight as they can put the final nail in Dallas's coffin. And they still have an outside shot at getting that number 2 seed in the Western Conference. Give me Sacramento plus 6.5. We're going to stick right in this game. Ian, you have a prop you like for the Sacramento Kings?
I do, yes. Sticking with the theme of prop bets, gave you an MLB prop bet. Now let's talk a little MLB prop bet. Domantas Sabonis, over 12.5 rebounds. A little plus money prop here for the people, plus 106. Because, Joe, as you mentioned, they're taking on the Mavericks tonight. The Mavericks, one of the worst rebounding teams in the NBA. 29th in rebounding percentage, only grabbing 47.5% of available rebounds. And there's some history that backs this prop bet up. Sabonis, 14 rebounds the last time that he and the Kings took on the Dallas Mavericks. And also, he's grabbing more rebounds on the road for some reason. 12.7 rebounds on the road this season compared to 12.1 at home. So that backs this pick up a little bit more as well. Let's go Sabonis over 12.5 rebounds for my favorite plus money prop of the night.
Sabonis! Absolutely. Okay, over to the ice here, guys. All over the map today. For this one, we are off to New York City. Sexy-looking game with the Tampa Bay Lightning in town. But I'm taking the home team. Give me the Rangers minus 120 on the full game money line here. Check out Tampa Bay on the road. It is not pretty. Some awful road analytics for Tampa. Their last 10 road games, 27th. And expected goals for percentage, 23rd. High danger chances for percentage, just 4 and 8 in their last 12 games on the road. Igor Shesterkin, the pride of Russia, expected to be in between the pipes here for the Rangers, and he is absolutely peaking. He is in Vezina form. The Rangers, 10-3 in his last 13 starts, 2 or fewer goals allowed in 9 of those games. The Rangers have owned this matchup at Madison Square Garden, 5-1 in their last 6 home games versus Tampa Bay, outscoring them 21-9. Give me New York, minus 120. All right, Ian, bring it home. What do you like on the ice tonight?
Yes, this is my underdog bet of the night. Underdog money line alert. Calgary Flames plus 110. Let's ride the Calgary Flames one more time, shall we? Have already lost enough money betting on the Flames this season. Why not lose a little bit more? Calgary Flames, they have a key pivotal game here. 2 points back from the Jets for the final playoff spot, so they could still sneak into the postseason. And they have been playing well lately, especially offensively. 4th in the NHL in expected goals for per 60 minutes over their last 10 games. And that's going to bode well because they're going to take on a Jets team who has not been playing well offensively. Specifically when it comes to shooting over their last 10 games, 29th in the NHL in shooting percentage, scoring on only 7.77% of their shots on net. And also, I got to bring up my favorite stats, Corsi percentage and Fenwick percentage, first in the NHL in both those stats over their last 10 games. To be fair, they've been near the top in almost every stat the whole year. It hasn't helped them out a whole bunch. They still lose. I think they lost to the Blackhawks last night, if I'm correct. But why not back in one more time? Why not? The regular season's almost over. They might not be in the playoffs. Let me keep their tradition alive. I'll lose some more money on the Flames. Give me Calgary plus 110 against the Winnipeg Jets.
Fenwick percentage.
Oh, yeah.
Having a history on chasing that paper. I don't think you've thrown out the old Fenwick stat before.
Yes, love Fenwick.
It
takes out block shots. It's just Corsi percentage, but you take out blocked shots. So Corsi percentage takes into consideration all types of shots. Fenwick is that, but then you take out block shots because the thought is that block shots actually take some skill.
So a lot of people hitting me up on Twitter here asking me about Patrick Corbin going this afternoon for the Nats and how do you want to fade him. So a little bit of a peek behind the curtain here. We tried to have the show with picks for the evening, so the show has a little bit more shelf life to it. That game's going on at 1 Eastern, I think. How would I fade Patrick Corbin today? I saw his over 1.5 walks at even money. I think that's a beautiful bet right there. I also like Tampa Bay over their first 5-inning team total, 2.5. I got there in the first inning yesterday, the one bet that I won yesterday. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Tampa Bay get to at least 3 runs by the time 5 innings is over. So pretty good way to fade Patrick Corbin right there. A lot of people watching on YouTube right now. Guys, do me a favor. It's easy to do. You know what I'm going to ask you to do? Right down there, there's a like button. Right down there is a subscribe button. Give them a click. It lets us know that you enjoy the program. And if you have anything to say, whether it be suggestions for us here at the show or bets that you like tonight, drop them in the live chat or in the comment section. Now, if you're looking to get some action in tonight, I highly recommend getting that action in over at BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks. Sign up with BetMGM using the promo code VIBONUS. And get a first bet offer of up to $1,000 paid back in bonus bets. If you don't win, that's VI bonus, all one word, no spaces, for a first bet offer of up to $1,000 paid back in bonus bets. If you don't win, just use that code VI bonus. Just visit betmgm.com for terms and conditions. You must be 21 years or older to wager. Offer is for new customers only. BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks. All right. Big event going down in sunny Miami. Saturday night, it is now time for our official UFC 287 betting preview. The middleweight title is on the line. It is a rematch. I'm going to get us started here, Ian. So, in that middleweight rematch, I took Alex Pereira in the first fight versus Israel Adesanya. And guess what? I'm going to take Alex Pereira once again. Why wouldn't I? Especially sitting here at odds of plus 115. So let's get right into this one. I think that the wrong man is favored in this fight, including kickboxing. Pereira is now 3-0 versus Adesanya. Quite simply, he has his number with a KO win against him in both the UFC and in kickboxing. Breaking down their fight in the UFC from this past November. Yeah, it was pretty close. Pereira won by knockout, of course, but Pereira actually landed more significant strikes and landed them at a higher percentage. Now, a lot of the dialogue leading up to the rematch has people predicting that Adesanya, who landed 1 of 4 takedown attempts in their most recent fight, will lean on wrestling in this one, which he might try to do, but let's not pretend he's going to turn into George St. Pierre overnight. That one takedown is the only takedown he's ever landed in 14 fights in the UFC. Not that he attempts a lot of them by any means. But come on here, guys. Pereira can train wrestling too. He's got a respectable 73% takedown defense in his 4 UFC fights, stuffing 14 of 19 total attempts made against him. Give me Pereira, plus 115. All right, and you got a bet that you like for the main event here. What are you looking at?
Yeah, I like Pereira as well, but I'm going to go a different direction here for the show. I'm going to take the under 4.5 rounds in this fight. I was actually pretty shocked the over-under was set at 4.5 rounds, so I'll gladly take the under there at minus 125. There were plenty of strikes thrown in the first fight between these two guys. It's not like it was kind of a slowly developing fight. There was 177 total significant strikes landed. You only need one of them to finish this fight with the amount of power both these guys have, especially Pereira. And don't forget, Adesanya actually almost won this fight in the first round. I believe it was right at the end of the first round. He rocked Pereira. If he did it just even 20 seconds earlier, he might have been able to jump on him and finish the fight. And also, don't forget about Pereira's history. This guy's a finished machine. 7 of his 8 professional MMA fights have been finished inside of the distance. I'm shocked that the total is at 4.5. I will take the under here at minus 125.
Yeah, I think maybe some recency bias cooked into that one. Okay, let's drop down one fight to the co-main event. A lot of people are excited about this one. Very lopsided odds. I'm going to take the favorite, but you got to get a better number than what he's being offered at. I'm going to take Gilbert Burns to win by decision plus 165. Where are they getting this number from? This seems massively mispriced to me. He's minus 475 to win this 3-round fight. But yet here he is well in the plus money at plus 165 to win by decision. Seems like a mistake to me. I do think he rolls versus Masvidal, who has gotten destroyed versus elite competition, completely dominated in every aspect by both Usman and Colby Covington. Caught lightning in a bottle once upon a time in what was a perfect storm of events versus Darren Till, Ben Askren, and Nate Diaz. But he's completely fallen off of a cliff since. That said, he's still very hard to put away. He's been finished in just 2 of 51 career pro fights, just once in the UFC. Beautiful number, Gilbert Burns by decision, plus 165. Ian, what are you looking at next?
Next up is another bet on a total, another under bet as well, actually. I'm going to take Rob Font, Adrian Yanez, under 2.5 rounds in this 3-round fight at minus 105 here. Both these fighters land at a pretty high clip. Rob Font comes in at 6.38 significant strikes landed per minute. Yanez comes in at 6.62 significant strikes per minute. And Yanez has had 5 fights inside the UFC. 4 of those have gone under 2.5 rounds. And don't forget, Rob Font can finish a fight as well. It's been a little while since he's finished a fight. It's been a lot of decisions for him lately, but still overall in his professional MMA career, 63% of his wins have come inside the distance. People forget, and I encourage you to not forget about early Rob Font. Give me the under 2.5 rounds at minus 105. I think this one might sneakily be a barn burner of a fight.
Barn burner, baby. All right, dogs don't stop. It's all plus money for me with my best bets for this event. And speaking of being wildly mispriced, how about Santiago Ponzinibbio? Plus 205? Are you kidding me? Absolutely hammering that. The pride of Argentina. Ponzinibbio here against Kevin Holland, who's wildly overvalued for a second consecutive fight. This fight is much, much closer than these odds indicate. What has Kevin Holland accomplished to deserve being such a big favorite here? He's 2-4 in his last 6 fights, and he's been finished in 2 consecutive fights and has some serious flaws in his game, most notably wrestling defense. Ponzinibbio, yeah, he's just 2-2 in his last 4, but he could easily be 4-0 with a couple of close split decision losses that make him look worse than he actually is. I think this fight is much closer to a coin flip, so I'll take the guy who has more momentum being offered at plus 205. Beautiful number. All right, Ian, bring it home. Your final pick for UFC 287.
Final pick. I'm looking at the prelims. I'm looking at a women's fight here, and I'm going to fade Michelle Waterson Gomez. I guess she's been married since last time that she fought, adding Gomez there at the end of her name. Going to fade her because she's one of the most frustrating fighters in the UFC to watch. And I have bet on her in the past, and I have lost money on her in the past. So let's go the other direction. I'll take Luana Pinheiro in this fight. Minus 165, make it a 2-unit play if you want. I think I will do exactly that because Michelle Waterson Gomez, the queen of kicking air. I don't know if you guys have watched this girl fight before. They call her the karate hottie. But she just loves to throw strikes just like that is not within a foot of landing to her opponent. I don't get it. She likes to throw these little front kick things that aren't even close to landing. It's extremely frustrating to watch, and that's why she doesn't win fights. She's 1-4 in her last 5, and now she takes on a Pereira, who she's going to out-wrestle her. She lands over 4 takedowns per 15 minutes, 4.76. Waterson only has a 67% takedown defense. She's lost to wrestlers in the past, including Carla Esparza. This is an absolute mismatch. I still think there's a ton of value at a minus 165 price point. I would set this more like minus 200, minus 220. So I will take Luana Pinheiro to beat the queen of kicking air, the karate hottie, Michelle Waterson Gomez.
Yeah, the karate hottie clearly on her way out there. But speaking of getting married, do we have wedding bells in your future, Ian?
Oh, eventually, I'm sure.
I like the positivity. Producer Tito recently married there, ranting and raving about the marriage experience so far. I think it had 10 out of 10. Out on the futon quite a bit, unfortunately, but when the wife invites him back in, absolutely loving the marriage experience. So there you have it, our UFC 287 betting preview. Can't wait for this one, but I touched on this yesterday's show. Ian, if you do get married and have children one day, or if you don't get married and have children one day, and if you want to be a good parent, part of being a good parent, you got to do that Easter egg hunt with your kids.
Oh, that's this weekend.
Early morning. Yeah, what a great memory that is growing up. I got 2 young fellows, 5 and 3. I'm going to be up all hours of the night watching this UFC. And any hardcore UFC fan will tell you, after these things end, especially if it's great fights, you just don't snap your fingers and go to bed, fall asleep. You got a lot of adrenaline pumping. But I'm going to have no choice. Got to wake up nice and early, get the Easter egg hunt going. Pretty excited for that. Well, not really. Lack of sleep. Okay, another big event, of course, gets going tomorrow. We'll touch on this a little bit here momentarily. The Masters. If you're looking to make things a little bit more interesting here for the Masters, even if you're just a casual bettor, I want to tell you about a contest that our friends over at the Action Network are having. Check out the Action Network Masters Golf Squares contest. Action Network Augusta Golf Squares is a game of chance for anybody. Sign up today for free, of course, and play for your share of $5,000. More details can be found on the Vegas Insider homepage. So go to VegasInsider.com for more details on that and get signed up. Win some free money. Okay, UFC 287, we put a poll up on the Vegas Insider Twitter feed asking you guys who you think will walk away with the belt. And people still liking Adesanya here, even though, like I said, Pereira has his number. And that UFC fight kind of went a lot like one of the kickboxing matches went. It looked like Adesanya was on his way to a victory, but then he got knocked out cold by Pereira. I think Pereira's got his number. Plus odds. I can't go against them. Now, we know you like the under on this one, Ian. I'm a bit surprised you can get that at minus 125. But who do you think's winning this thing?
I think it's Pereira. You know what other fight this fight reminds me of is one that just happened a few weeks ago, Leon Edwards and Kamaru Usman. The first time they fought, Usman was well on his way to a victory, lost in the last minute of the fight. Leon Edwards knocked him out, and then heading into the rematch, everyone was like, yeah, but Usman dominated most of the fight. He's going to win this time around. Mm-hmm. And then what happened? Leon Edwards, won in convincing fashion. Now we have the exact same situation here. Adesanya probably would have won on the scorecards, but then Pereira knocked him out late in the fight, and now heading into the rematch, maybe not as, many people think Adesanya is going to win as they thought Usman was going to win, but still most people think, but Adesanya was winning that whole fight. As long as he doesn't get knocked out, he's going to win this one. Well, who knows? Maybe Pereira will be as dominant as Edwards was in the rematch.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what they do with Adesanya if he loses, because it's not like he's going to get just another rematch at the title. There's not a
Right.
whole lot of interesting fights for him at middleweight, really, because he's fought a lot of these guys. Is he going to fight Robert Whittaker for a third time? Probably not. Is he going to fight Paulo Costa? Yeah, I would absolutely watch those fights, but he destroyed Costa, so why would you do that? I think have him fight Sean Strickland, maybe, if he loses. And it's interesting because there seems to be a lot of big time wrestlers coming up in the middleweight division, led by Hamzat Chimaev. If he ever gets in there, I think his career is being mismanaged a little bit. The guy never fights. What's going on there? Then, of course, the big Penn State guy, the younger guy from the Dana White Contender Series. So, yeah, interesting developments here in the UFC's middleweight division. We'll see what happens there. But on the topic of the UFC here, Ian, one guy who's seems to pop up in the news here every couple of weeks, no longer on the UFC roster, Francis Ngannou. Now, we all know what happened. The UFC offered him the most money ever for a heavyweight, apparently, but he decided to walk away. He wanted more stuff than just the money. It's been a couple months now. He's been a free agent for a couple months, and we're not hearing anything. And the guy I'm talking about, Francis Ngannou, his window of relevancy is closing more and more and more with each passing day. Now, not that bare knuckle fighting, which I kind of think is trash. Not that they were an option for him, because Ngannou's still viewed as a really good fighter, still in his prime. But they came out and said that the amount of money he wants is simply unrealistic. Is there a lot of demand to see Francis Ngannou in a boxing match? Once again, I would watch it. I'm a hardcore fan. If you're a hardcore fight fan, you're going to be interested, but it's about appealing to the casual fan. You know, is the casual fan going to tune in to see Ngannou fight Anthony Joshua or Deontay Wilder? I don't know about that. Are people going to, if he signs with ONE FC, are you going to be lining up to pay for a pay-per-view of Francis Ngannou fighting some guy you've never heard of? I think he made a massive mistake leaving the UFC. The UFC has been able to make deals with much bigger stars than Francis Ngannou. Here he is on the outside looking in with no news whatsoever. He hasn't fought in over a year. He's in his late 30s. I wouldn't be surprised if he's back in the UFC, actually. I know Dana White said never, but how many times has he gone back on that? So what are you thinking? You think Ngannou made a mistake here? You think he could wind up back in the UFC?
Yeah, I don't really have any kind of a unique take here. Yeah, I think it was a mistake. I thought it was a mistake to begin with. I want to see how fun would a fight between him and Jon Jones be? Let's get that going. Just swallow your pride a little bit. Come back to the UFC with your tail between your legs. Fight Jon Jones so we can see Jon Jones get knocked out. Please. Please.
You must hate Jon Jones even more after he went all in on Cyril Gane. He humiliated you.
Lost a lot of money in that fight.
Yeah, the UFC, they don't have a good track record. I've touched on this before of getting these super fights together. You know, they never got GSP and Anderson Silva together.
Oh.
They were supposed to do Brock Lesnar versus Fedor once upon a time.
Oh.
Anderson Silva never fought John. I don't know if that was on the table, but GSP, Khabib, they tried to get that together. They don't have a good track record. But overall, the UFC is so much better than boxing at getting these big fights together. The sport of boxing is an absolute joke. Like, I see they were advertising this Anthony Joshua fight over the weekend, talking about it like it's a big fight, and like, oh, by the way, Joshua's like a minus 2,000 favorite.
Right.
Who's this shit? What were you going to say?
Yeah, boxing can't even figure out how to schedule fights between guys who are in the same weight class, let alone super fights.
Well, it's a joke, man.
Just they can't even schedule guys who are like, they can't even schedule like top contender against a champion. They just can't figure it out. So boxing's a disaster.
It's a broken model because the negotiation, they're doing like rehydration clauses and the amount of you can weigh on fight day. Whereas with the UFC, it's more of a standard contract where everyone has to follow the same rules. Now, I know a lot of the people they're against the UFC. Everyone complains about the UFC because of fighter pay, which in some cases, absolutely, some fighters are being screwed over. But you don't often hear about it when the UFC fighter signs a new contract. You barely hear anything about it. If a fighter wants to go on Ariel Helwani's show and complain about how they're being done wrong by the UFC, you never hear the end of it. But you hear about Paulo Costa just signed a new contract. You barely hear anything about it. Sean O'Malley signed a new contract not long ago. You barely hear anything about it. So yeah, the UFC obviously not perfect. Some of these cards that they're putting out are somewhat watered down, but they do have a good history. Not the big super fights, but the best tend to fight the best in the UFC. So that's what I like about that sport. If boxing could ever get there, they'd have a lot of success with that model as well. Okay, guys, it is now time for today's Handicapper Heat Check presented by VegasInsider.com. Your home for the best expert picks in the business. NBA profits leader Steven Nover heating up. He went 3-0. I should have tailed him last night, bringing his streak to 9-2 in his last 11 NBA picks. Gary Burt, 5-1 all sports record yesterday, and ASA is perfect 6-0 in MLB this season. Off to a good start there. Visit VegasInsider.com/picks for tonight's best bets. That's your Handicapper Heat Check. Stay hot, betters.
It's good.
All right, Ian, so we got the Masters teeing off here in the morning. Any final thoughts or maybe even a little bit of a recap of some of your favorite picks going into the tournament tomorrow?
Yeah, I mean, what show Monday this week, the Vegas Insider show, I gave you my 3 best bets. You can also check out the Bacon Bets podcast where I just talk about the Masters for 30 minutes straight without taking a breath. I locked in all of my bets last night. I have 27 bets pre-tournament,
Yes,
and that doesn't count round by round 3-ball bets, which I'll be doing as well. So I have a ton of bets placed for the Masters. Also, I'm writing a ton of articles on FanSided to do with the Masters. I wrote a ton the past 2 days. We'll be writing more today as well. So go check out FanSided for even more Masters content as well. I got all the Masters. I got everything. I got live golfers. I got miss the cut, make the cut picks. I got what to do with Tiger Woods. I got a little bit of everything for the people.
Ian and the Master Baiter as well as he's known around his apartments. So Ian, what's the fascination about the sandwiches and the menu at the Masters? Who gives a shit? Why do people flip out about this every year? Oh, they get a sandwich here for $5. Who fucking cares? What's going on here with this?
I think it's even cheaper than $5. I think it's like $2.50. I think the price point is a thing, and I think it's just, I don't know. I mean, I've never been there, so I can't say if they're good. Apparently they're good. But yeah, I don't get it either. Who gives a shit?
I know, right? And what were people go on about it? Maybe it's just a social media thing. And I tell myself 3 times a day, I got to get off Twitter. I got to quit spending so much time on the internet. But they announced in the NFL last week that something like offensive players are now allowed to wear the number 0 or 00. And a bunch of people take this and they run with it as if it's some form of content. Do people give a shit about this? Do you care if your favorite player changes his number to 0, Ian?
No, I do want to say something though about the sandwich thing, and it just made me think about it. I think we've been on just the internet for too long, on Twitter for too long, and it's just like every year there's certain things in every sport that just people have to tweet about, and I don't need to see about the Masters sandwiches for the fucking 10th year now. You know what I mean? I don't need to see. You know, I can't think of other events off the top of my head, but every time there's a big sporting event, it's the same tweets that we see every year. I don't need to see the same thing every single year. We get it. The sandwiches are cheap. We get it. The cheese sandwich is delicious. I don't care. I don't need to see tweets about it. Tweet something new. Give me some new stuff.
This sports social media thing, the reoccurring thing annually that pops up year after year after year, it comes out at kind of a dead point in the sports calendar in the middle of the summer. The Madden player rankings or ratings.
Yeah,
absolutely cannot stand that content. People take that and run with it. ESPN has stuff. You have players weighing how in the hell am I only an 89? No, NBA 2K has tried to piggyback off that a little bit. Who gives a fuck? Even if you play the games. It drives me nuts, this stuff. And that's my own problem.
That is blasphemous.
It is blasphemous. Stay off the goddamn internet. Driving me nuts. People arguing that the two women in the women's college basketball game.
Oh my God, it's exhausting.
You got mad. People getting mad about somebody getting mad about something. Shut up. If someone has an opinion you don't like, fucking move on. I'm going to tell you guys something. Never in the history of Twitter has somebody won an argument. Never has anyone conceded and said, you know what, complete stranger who I've been fucking arguing with here on Twitter, you're right and I'm wrong. You make some excellent points. It is the biggest waste of time in your life arguing with a stranger on Twitter. Now, when I was new to the game, I would have the back and forth with people. Now I do not. Maybe you might get one counterpoint from me. Do not waste your time. It's a waste of life, Ian. And we'll end the show at that. Some life advice for you guys. Ian will be back with us on Friday, I think. That's right, isn't it, Ian?
Yes.
Yes, we will have you back. I think I'm going to be flying solo tomorrow, which is a bit scary because the past couple of solo shows have gone absolutely awful for me. But yeah, maybe we'll scale back on the number of picks tomorrow. We'll see what's available, though. Who knows? Probably get a chance to fade the Miami Heat after a win here yesterday, get some revenge on them. So yeah, that does it for today. We thank Ian for joining us. Make sure you check out his work over at BetSide and listen to his podcast. We thank Tito for producing. We thank you, dear viewer, for tuning in. Best of luck with your bets tonight, unless, of course, you are fading us. And as always, keep chasing that paper. Yeah! Ah!